65% of us obey when ordered to kill our fellow humans. 65% of us obey orders to kill our fellow humans.
Stanley Milgram, voltage pilgrim. Stanley Milgram says. Stanley Milgram, voltage pilgrim. Stanley Milgram says. Electrocute my every sinew. Science dictates you must continue. Stanley Milgram, Stanley Milgram, Stanley Milgram says. I was only acting on orders. You cannot blame me for those murders. I was only acting on orders. You cannot blame me for those murders. Every man becomes a torturer. Every man becomes a slayer. Obediently sitting there, flicking switches for the electric chair. Light bulb surge in Yale's fair town. A needle flickers into the red. A dial, a smile, the white coat syndrome. Experiment concludes this man is dead. I was only acting on orders. You cannot blame me for these murders. I was only acting on orders. You cannot blame me for those murders. Stanley Milgram, voltage pilgrim. Stanley Milgram says. 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 You cannot blame me for those murders. I was only acting on orders. You cannot blame me for those murders. I was only acting on orders.
Imagine governments, tyrants, and dictators using their power and authority to bend the will of ordinary people to commit murder.
Give him 100 votes. Give him 200 votes.
Imagine governments, tyrants, and dictators using their
300 votes. No, stop. Stanley Milgram. Stanley Milgram says. You cannot blame me for those murders. I was only acting on orders. You cannot blame me for those murders. I was only acting on orders. You cannot blame me for those murders. Stanley Milgram. Stanley Milgram. Stanley Milgram says. Stanley Milgram. Stanley Milgram. Stanley Milgram says. You cannot blame me for those murders. I was only acting on orders. You cannot blame me for those murders. Stanley Milgram. Stanley Milgram. Stanley Milgram. Stanley Milgram. Stanley Milgram says.
Imagine governments, tyrants, and dictators using their power and authority to bend the will of ordinary people to commit murder.